Hello, critics, non-critics, and friends. Welcome to the Film Optics Podcast, where we take a glance into blockbusters, indie films, and everything in between. I'm your host, Christian, and as always, I'm joined by my partner in film, Devin. And today we're going to be giving our spoiler-free thoughts and insights on Joyride, air quotes, 2023, because there's two other Joyride movies that have come out within previous years. So we have to preface that by saying Joyride 2023, but it's not connected to the other Joyrides. And before we begin today's episode, you can listen to our podcast on podcast platforms around the internet. That includes Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and more. And if you are a new or seasoned listener to the show, we would love to hear from you guys. Follow us on Instagram, Threads, and Twitter at Film Optics. That is optics with an X. Or you can email us at filmoptics@gmail.com for any movie-related questions. Devin, happy post-Prime, post-Emmys, post-SAG strike day. There's a lot going on in the world, at least within our little corner of the world. But yeah, how's your week been? You been watching anything new or playing anything new?
Yeah, it's been a pretty solid week. I wrapped up Black Mirror the other night. It was an okay season. Nothing too crazy. I also beat BioShock Infinite. Finally got that one done.
On the Steam Deck?
Yep.
Oh.
I gotta figure out what's next.
Man, did you get anything from the Steam sale? Because I know that was also going on.
Just a couple smaller party games. Nothing crazy.
Yeah, I just bought Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, so that's the only thing I snags. I don't know. I was hoping that The Last of Us would be on sale, given everything that happened with it.
I think it might just now be a playable state on PC.
We'll see. Well, hey, we have the fall sale, and then we have the winter sale, because this was the summer sale. So yeah, we got a few more. That's usually when I end up buying games anyway. So it's perfect. I absolutely love it. But yeah, I'm glad you've had a great week and, playing some new games and watching some new TV shows. I finally watched The Godfather for the first time, part 1 so far. I got to get through the next 2 movies, but I enjoyed it. I gave it my first watch like a 4 out of 5. A lot of people claimed it to be like the best movie ever made. I'm like, okay, I can see why people really like this movie. I liked it, but I wouldn't give it like a perfect score because there were a few parts where I didn't realize part 1 is like a 10-year span of everything that's going on within the family. So, and that's another thing. They never said mafia in that movie. I love how it was always just family. I was like, am I watching a Fast and Furious movie? But no,
that's where you got it from.
Yeah.
Diesel.
Good old Diesel. Love it. And I finally watched The Blackening as well. I thought it was funny. I think Joyride's way funnier. But it was a good time. I give it like a solid maybe 3 out of 5 stars if we're going off the Letterboxd rating. If we're going off our rating, I give it like a solid 70 out of 100, on our side.
Yeah, that's about where I am too.
Yeah, so it was a lot of fun. I'm glad I watched it. I don't know if I'll ever go back to it again, but that is something that I can say that I finally watched. Outside of that, just been rewatching some Community. I need to start Succession season 2 as well. I want to catch up on Succession and Yellow Jackets before the Emmys happen, or whenever the Emmys happen, because my gosh, Devin, there's so much going on with the Emmys. We have our hosts for the Emmys. We have Yvette Nicole Brown, who starred on Community and is known as the manager from Drake and Josh. The other person, I'm blanking on his name. Do you recognize him from anywhere?
I'm not sure who the hosts even are. I don't even know if we're going to have the Emmys this year. There's not going to be anyone to accept the awards.
Yeah, I know. So now the writers have been on strike it's going on 90 days, or if it hasn't passed 90 days already. And now the Screen Actors Guild, which are actors, are going on strike in solidarity, not only with the WGA, but also with their own demands and whatnot when it comes to, the pay, the residual safeguarding around AI rights and improving worker conditions. So, wow. Like Hollywood is literally imploding on itself, which is insane. But yeah, I don't know when we're going to get the Emmys because I know that it has been postponed. I think they said it's either going to happen in November or early January next year. So it's a tense time in Hollywood, but if there are shows that you're looking to like catch up on, now is the time to do that because, then you can be like, oh my gosh, I can't wait for so-and-so to win. I can't wait for blah, 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 blah to win. But I did want to just top off a few Emmy nomination points here, just all together before we get into our Joyride review. So Succession is leading in the number of nominations. There's a lot of nominations for the Emmys, y'all. We can't get into everything, but I kind of wanted to touch on it just a little bit. So Succession is leading in first place with the most nominations at 27. Of course, that's through HBO. The Last of Us is in second place with 24 nominations. And The White Lotus is 23 nominations, just shy, neck and neck with The Last of Us. Ted Lasso in the number 4 spot with 21 nominations. And The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel from Prime Video with 14 nominations. And then we have The Bear, Beef, and Dahmer all tied for 13 nominations. And then Wednesday is coming in with 12 nominations altogether. I'm very excited for this, Devin, but I got to ask you, who do you think is going to take home the gold when it comes to drama series? Because we got some interesting ones in there.
Yeah, I think it's kind of odd because there's a lot of these series that you would say are more so drama, but then they get put into comedy because there's so many drama, like The Bear and Beef. It's like there's funny moments, but they're definitely more so dramas. Even Wednesday, it's like, sure, there's funny moments, but I don't know.
I don't get it either. I mean, just naming off, we're just going to name off the drama category, just the best drama or drama series. We won't go into anything else, but what's nominated for the drama series for that category for best drama is Andor, Better Call Saul, The Crown, House of the Dragon, The Last of Us, Succession, The White Lotus, and Yellow Jackets. Now, Succession just finished its final season. I don't know what happens. I don't want to know what happens because I'm like 3 seasons behind. I already finished season 1. So I'm going to go through it. And I swear no one needs to spoil anything. And I've noticed that. I'm not sure if you have. People are more liberal when it comes to spoiling TV shows than they are with movies. Because when you spoil a movie, it's the end of the world. When you spoil a TV show, everyone's like, oh, it's not that big of a deal. It's just TV. I'm like, it is more than just TV. But I guess out of these drama categories, who do you think is actually going to take home the gold? I know you haven't watched a lot of these, nor have I, but as much I am tied here so much, but I'll give my opinion second, but I wanted to pick your brain a little bit on who may take home the gold for the best drama series.
I mean, my personal pick would be T-Lu because that's just the one that captured me the most last year, or I guess this year. But I think the one that will end up winning is it's either going to be Succession or Better Call Saul because it's usually like finale seasons that really get the awards.
I agree. And I've heard that the season finale or just the final season of Succession and of Better Call Saul are both phenomenal. And I've noticed that as well. Usually when series are on their last season, depending on how good the last season is, but yeah, that kind of draws into effect. I would think anything outside of Better Call, if anything outside of Better Call Saul or Succession takes home the gold, I would be very surprised. Like if Yellow Jackets or Andor came out of nowhere, like I think Yellow Jackets definitely more of a dark horse than Andor, but I hear Andor is very good. And Devin's watched Andor and I haven't, so I definitely need to get on that train. But I am torn. I am torn because my heart is saying The Last of Us, but there's House of the Dragon. And it was so good. The fact that, you know, despite what you thought about season 8 of Game of Thrones, the fact that the magic and the fan base is still there for for Game of Thrones going into House of the Dragon, phenomenal. So I don't know what I either want the House of the Dragon or The Last of Us to win for my personal picks. Either one I'd be fine with. I think my dark horse pick is going to be the Yellow Jackets. I think Succession is going to take it home. Personally.
Yeah, that's the safe pick.
I know. But it's three HBO shows on here for drama series. Wait, 4. I'm sorry. The White Lotus, Succession, The Last of Us, and House of the Dragon. That's half of your nominations right there. It's crazy. But those are just our quick thoughts about the Emmys whenever they come out. But just to let you guys know, it's going to be a wild time. I'm very excited. I love the Emmys more so than the Oscars because I feel like it really just, it feels more like a celebration of all things television. I can't necessarily say the same for Oscars. It can be a bit snooty from time to time, but what award show isn't snooty from time to time? So yeah, it is what it is. Everyone has their favorite award show, and I'm excited to see what the outcomes are. There's a lot of categories here, but with all that said, that kind of closes out our pre-opening or like our segment here. So, as we mentioned, we are going to be covering Joyride 2023 for all of you. This is a fantastic movie. Dare I say, is probably the best comedy of the year so far. So without further delay, we will be right back after this introduction to Joyride.
I don't think I've ever been around only Asian people. I mean, we look like everyone else for once. I think we blend right in.
Yeah, but people here can tell Chinese from American Chinese.
What do you mean?
See? Hong Kong Chinese, Bluetooth. Shanghai Chinese, bougie. Ooh, Taiwanese, weird but cute.
Aw. What kind of Chinese are they?
What the fuck is wrong with you? Are you trying to get canceled? Those are Koreans.
Oh.
That's Howdy Fun. It's a K-pop group. Yeah, they all have the same face. That's how you can tell.
And we are back. You just heard a little snippet from Joyride. And as I mentioned before, this is going to be a non-spoiler review, so you don't have to worry about us spilling any of the tea, because there's actually a lot of story beats in this movie. And a lot of them took me by surprise. Was not expecting half of the things to happen in this movie that did. It's raunchy. It is sincere. It's heartfelt. It's so darn funny. And honestly, I can't wait to see it again. But I'm actually going to give the honors to Devin for introducing the cast today, since he's been a little bit more on the quiet side. So Devin, take it away.
All right. So for Joyride, it is not the 2001 original. I guess it was like a horror thriller type movie. Apparently there's like 3 of those I saw when I typed it in. That actually had Paul Walker and Steve Zahn in it, and it was written by J.J. Abrams. That's interesting.
Oh, very interesting.
But yeah, it's not related to that in any way. It's just a comedy, complete opposite, not a thriller in any way. But yeah, as far as the cast goes, they don't really have it in starring order on IMDb, so I'm trying to dig through.
So I did write out for at least the stars. You have Stephanie Sue, Sabrina Wu, Ashley Park, and Sherry Cola.
Yeah, those are the core 4. That's the fam.
The fam. And writers include Teresa Hisao and Adele Lim. And Adele
why don't you say this other writer name?
I can't.
Hey, do you remember watching Family Guy and seeing this name on the credits, and everyone thought it was a fake name,
Yeah.
but it's a very real person and writer.
Do you know how to pronounce his writer's name?
I'm gonna try it right now. Cherry Shevapravadumrong.
All right, there you go. You did way better than me. I think that deserves a little.
And shout out to her for everyone thought you were fake on Family Guy, but you're a real person and a real writer, and I hope this strike gets resolved and you are able to continue in your career.
Seriously, like all three of the writers here, this movie was written so well, and I love. I mean, the editing, just everything about it. We'll get more into it here in a bit, but I'm going to pass it over to Devin so he can give his spoiler-free thoughts on this film.
Yeah, I remember going into this one. Definitely saw a few trailers leading up to it, and definitely started gaining some momentum as far as like a new raunchy, rated R, funny comedy that's coming out for the summer. And for us specifically, obviously, we fell in love with Stephanie Hsu during Everything Everywhere All at Once. Like, I think she was snubbed completely for all the Oscar love last year. As much as that movie won, I think she definitely deserved to be a part of it because she really killed her role and was kind of the main reason that movie worked. And I loved seeing her in that, and loved seeing her getting more roles like this. She's kind of the wild card, like fun best friend, new best friend from the old best friend, like that classic dynamic where you have a friend that has a new best friend and then they don't like each other. That's kind of the funny dynamic we got going here. And honestly, I saw this on my birthday with my sister. We had a great time. It's a really, really raunchy, really like truly rated R movie. Like it goes places that you would never expect a movie to go to. Like the things you see in this, it's pretty crazy. But I love it for that. It honestly kind of reminded me of The Hangover, just kind of the four-person dynamic they have here. Deadeye kind of gives me Alan vibes. Just kind of the weirdness and just the stuff they say and do. It's off, and that's what makes it so funny. Why do they call you Deadeye? Just stares into your soul.
For a second, I thought Deadeye had like a lazy eye, and I was like, "Oh, are they playing off of that?" And it's like, no, they're just straight serious face. I thought that was hilarious.
And even if there are some moments, there are some jokes that didn't really land with me, it more than makes up for it with the heartfelt moments that come towards the end of the movie, which were completely unexpected. Did not expect to have any kind of emotional moments that kind of tie everything together, but they did a really good job of including that.
Oh yeah, I teared up like during.
Yeah, I think I had a couple tears forming.
A few sniffles here or there. But yeah, well said, Devin. I'm pretty much riding the same wave as you when it comes to this movie. I didn't really write too much in depth for this because originally I was like, oh yeah, like Devin saw it, then I went to go see it. I should probably just talk about what happened with my experience with Joyride. So the first time, before I get into my initial thoughts, the first time I went to go see this movie or tried to go see this movie, the power went out in our theater. So, I had to refund tickets, refund people's AMC list. I guess you can see up to 3 movies per year. So like one of your vouchers essentially. And then I was like, okay, I'll come back the next day. Everything should, be up and running then. So I went back the following day, same time frame to go see Joyride. And it was kind of annoying because the entire theater had power except the one theater in the entire vicinity that was playing Joyride in theater 7. There was one theater that this movie was playing in. Like
it's supposed to be the lucky theater.
It's weird because it's like, you have, we're going to the movie theater. And then it's like, which theater are you going to? It's like, we need to figure out a word in between like the vicinity of a movie theater and then the theater itself. But yeah, Theater 7 was the only theater in my movie theater that was playing Joyride. And that theater still did not have power. So, again, I got my
really persevered on this one.
I did. And so the following day, this was a Saturday, Sunday, Monday venture. 3rd time's a charm. I actually went to a different theater than the one that was closer to me because I just didn't trust them, because I was like, watch it only be in that theater again. I'm going to go through the whole thing once again. So I went to a different AMC theater a little bit farther away and saw it, and I had a great time. There was about maybe 6 or 7 people watching this. It was really weird because there was this one girl who came in towards the beginning of the trailers. I was the only one in the theater at the time. I thought I was going to be the only one watching it. She came in, sat down for like maybe 10 minutes, ate her snacks, watched the trailers, and just left before the movie. I was like, that was the weirdest thing I've ever seen in my life. But I digress. When it comes to this movie, like I said, my thoughts pretty much match Devin's when it comes to this film. It is easily the best comedy of the year by far. I think everyone should go see it.
Yeah, more people should definitely be seeing this. It's one of those issues I've seen where a lot of people saw this in a screening before it came out, and that kind of affected the overall performance of the movie when it did come out. So,
yeah, screenings can be hit or miss for a lot of movies. They can be gone in a flash, if you know what I'm talking about. But, the box office can be gone in a flash. But yeah, I think this movie is not performing very well in the box office, which is unfortunate because, I mean, between this and The Blackening, I mean, they're both movies that are very experimental. And even though I enjoyed Joyride more so than The Blackening, they were, they have familiar vibes. You had Joyride. Obviously, like Devin said, it really does remind you of a little bit of The Hangover, or just, a core 4 people hanging out. And you have the main character played by Ashley Park, who is adopted by a white family. And her parents try to make that connection with, trying to get her to find someone or find another Chinese person to hang out with, because most of her friends are probably are probably white. And then it really just has this interesting concept where it's like, Ashley Park's character, it was, oh my gosh, it was I'm blanking on her character's name.
Audrey.
So Ashley Park's character, Audrey, she is tasked she works for a law firm, is tasked to go to China to create or to close a deal with a Chinaman and his business and whatnot with their law firm. And then, things kind of go haywire. Like, you have Ashley Park playing Audrey, and then her best friend played by, or one of her best friends, I should say, because like Devin said, you got the 2 best friends coming in together. I'm not sure people really know if that's like a good idea or not. I'd say it's not, because it's weird having like, you have one person that gets along with both of these people, that have come into this person's lives in different in different waves. So, they should, get along. That doesn't really work. It doesn't work as much, at least for me. But Stephanie Sue's character and Sherry Cole's character playing the best friend from childhood, and then you have the college best friend, which is by Stephanie Sue. So it really does have this interesting dynamic, and of course Deadeye's there as well, being as awesome as she can ever be. But it really does have this amazing chemistry, and just I enjoy the concept of it. And of course, like if you've seen The Blackening, you know what I'm talking about as well. I don't want to give anything away there either, but the whole tagline there was, we can't all die first, because the entire cast is full of Black people. And the running joke or the stereotype in horror movies is that, if there's a Black person in a horror movie, they always die first. But if you have all of them that are black, they can't all die first. But both of those movies really have a interesting concept where they're very experimental, especially with Joyride. Like, it does have like the comedy and the raunchiness to it, but at its heart, it really is about it's a movie about finding out who you are and like where you belong in the world. Because with Ashley Park's character, Audrey, she is someone who's Chinese, but she was raised by white parents. She was adopted. So she doesn't really feel like she belongs. She doesn't feel like she's Chinese, but she necessarily doesn't feel like she's white either. So it's this really interesting dynamic of who she's trying to be, who she grows into by the end of the movie. And of course, with Deadeye, Lola, and Cats, they've kind of have a good idea of who they are as people. But Ashley, it's a little bit different. So the movie really takes you on this interesting journey where, a lot of crazy, wild things happen along the way, which are hilarious, but it really hits home as well, especially when we get towards the third act of the film. But sorry if I was talking for so long, but it's just, I like the dynamic of this movie, and it's not a long movie either. It's around 1 hour and 32 minutes. So you can go see this easy on a Saturday and just have a great time. I don't want to speak too much else on it before I accidentally spill the beans or on anything. But Devin, did you have anything else that you wanted to mention?
Yeah, there's actually like a surprising amount there is to spoil, especially for a comedy. Usually not too many story beats you can go off of. But yeah, I really liked, like you said, the setup they have here and kind of the dynamic between these four characters. Deadeye just being the wild card that you just don't know what's going to happen ever. And I just also love there's like kind of a random like basketball storyline intertwined in between all of it. As a basketball fan, I really like that one because I won't spoil who, but there's definitely an obscure former NBA player that shows up and actually does a pretty good job as far as acting. So I was surprised to see that. But
better than LeBron James?
As far as an actor, honestly, probably because LeBron, he's not the best actor as we've seen in his few roles he's had so far. But he is the king either way.
It's true. But sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Continue.
Yeah, like we said, the third act definitely kind of does a good job of wrapping things up. It's not just like a random event that kind of fixes everything. It's kind of a real moment where she has to discover her background, and it kind of it's just like touching moment that happens. And yeah, I think the theater was getting a little teary eyed. I heard some reactions, heard some moans, a little bit of cries, but yeah, it definitely adds up to a great recipe when you get the laughs and the emotions like that.
Yeah, that is very true. And I've always thought, I was listening to In Session Films review on this a few days ago, and they kind of touched on the fact that Ashley Park, or Audrey, played by Ashley Park, it's not that she feels so disconnected from her roots, but her friends kind of make the jokes that, like Ashley or Audrey, you're so white, yada yada yada. Like you don't really know what it means to be like, a Chinese person, or someone of Asian descent. And it kind of gives you this, like for a second, like the movie almost makes you feel like Audrey like despises like being, identified with being Chinese, because, throughout the movie, while she's on the trip to China, obviously, accompanied by her friends, it's kind of like a kill two birds with one stone situation, because Lolo, excuse me, played by Sherry Cola. I think that's a great name, by the way. But
Sherry Cola.
Her being the best friend's like, oh, you should try to find your birth parents while we're in China. And then that kind of gets, Audrey kind of flustered a bit. Like, she doesn't seem very interested. Like, obviously she cares, but it's like, she's grown up, she's more established. It's always been in the back of her mind, but it's never really surfaced in the way until one of her best friends, Lolo, kind of pushes her to do that.
And I just love that dynamic where you get that perspective, because I know there are a lot of people out there that feel like that, where you're rejected by both kind of sides of your upbringing. Like she lives in a majority white town, so she kind of has grown up being an outsider and kind of rejected a bit there. And then even when she goes to her where her birthplace is in China, she's also rejected there because she isn't Chinese enough. And it's just kind of a thing that a lot of people deal with.
I think a lot of people can kind of relate to this, and I can definitely relate to this. You know, me being like, you know, a person of color, like I'm black, but like growing up, it's, you know, I had a lot of other like black kids say like, hey, why do you talk so white? And, you know, like, why do you talk that way? And I was like, I'm just speaking the way that, you know, I was brought up. Like I talk and sound the way my dialect is my dialects. But, you know, it's things like that. So I can definitely relate to Audrey's character, where it's like, you don't feel like you necessarily kind of belong, depending. It's like certain things is like, oh, like, why don't you talk like us? And I'm like, does that make me less of a person? You know, like it is what it is. But, you know, with my background as well. But that's just kind of an example where I'm like, I really resonate with this movie because there's a lot of examples when it comes to that stuff.
Yeah, they did a great job of exploring those themes.
Yeah. Oh, it's fantastic. I was like, this movie literally has everything. Do not go take your kids to see this movie though, because
it definitely earns the rated R.
The hotel sequence was wild.
And then the dance sequence.
And you can only really get that in the theater. Like, you know, joined by all these other people who are experiencing this for the first time. I did have this one girl who was like on her phone kind of constantly, but I forgave her because her phone like dimness was like super, super low. So it wasn't like, you know, a beam of light like bing, like straight through the theater. But yeah, people need to learn proper etiquette when it comes to that stuff. I actually think that like watching movies at home has done more harm than good because people act the same as if they're watching a movie at home as they are in the theater. But that's a conversation for another day. But let's get into our final thoughts and our ratings. Devin, I'll pass it back over to you to give your final thoughts and ratings on this film.
Yeah, final thoughts on this one. Definitely had a fair amount of hype going into this one. And I think it did a pretty good job of living up to those, especially for me, a rated R comedy is always something that I'm interested in because it just lets you have that creative freedom and lets you do things that you'll never see before on a screen. Like specifically in this movie, you'll never see something like this again as far as a specific scene with the dance number that goes wrong. Like you'll never see that, and you never have seen that before. Like,
well, we have an American Pie, but that is more of a movie that's based around the raunchiness. This one isn't, but it just has the raunchiness thrown in.
Even just some of the views begin this one like never seen before. But yeah, I just love the creative freedom that rated R comedies and movies like that can have, and I love exploring those because usually they work for me, and this one definitely works for me as far as a comedy, and then surprisingly even as an emotional movie towards the end. So overall, as a grade, I'd probably give it like an 86, like super solid, not many issues. And I'm hoping more people go and see it.
I agree with you. I really hope more people see this movie. You know, just we're not expecting, you know, the box office for this movie to be like amazing, but like, man, come on. Like, let's get it up to like 10, 15 million or something like that. This is distributed by Lionsgate. I think Lionsgate is a studio that does take a lot of risks because, you know, once you get into studios that are just more just big budget after big budget, a lot of things are kind of the same. And I like to have that little flavor of variety from here for here and there. But I would probably just give this as like a solid 90 out of 100. 100%, because it's like I didn't expect this movie to be so good, and like it really just echoed how much I loved watching Crazy Rich Asians and how much I want to go back and watch that movie. Even The Farewell, which isn't necessarily like a comedy movie, but like you do get those family ties, values in that movie as well. And I really love Asian-led films. For whatever reason, it's just something I've always gravitated to.
Yeah, it's cool that they're getting this representation these past few years.
Yeah, like it is awesome. But yeah, I hope more people go see this movie because it is funny. I will definitely own this on Blu-ray. This is something I would definitely love to watch again. Again, do not watch this with your children. Wait till they're a little bit old enough, to kind of experience something like this. Because man, some of those shots, I was very shocked. I was like, oh, okay, I guess we're doing this right now. But, it's, the raunchiness set aside, it is a heartfelt journey. And, about friendship and belonging and just finding out where you belong in the world. You say you gave it an 84 out of 100?
86.
So the average, or not the average, I should say our official podcast score between Devin's score and my own score is going to be 88 out of 100 for Joyride 2023. I feel like we always have to put that in there. But with all of that said, that concludes today's episode. If you like what you heard on today's episode, make sure to subscribe to our podcast on your preferred podcast platform of choice, and make sure to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Threads at Film Optics. That is Optics with an X. And make sure to share an episode of our podcast with a fellow movie lover, whether it be your mother, your brother, or your significant other. Make sure to spread the love of the Film Optics podcast wherever you listen to podcasts and to a movie lover in need. And now let's take a sneak peek of what's coming up next on the show. So upcoming releases that we're going to be covering are going to be Oppenheimer and Barbie, aka Barbenheimer. And possibly we might do Talk to Me. I also got Haunted Mansion, Devin, but that's on the same day as Talk to Me. So I'm definitely going to go see Talk to Me for Haunted Mansion, at least for the early screening. Well, we can figure that out. And then, of course, we're going to be covering some Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles as we are officially like halfway through July already. It's crazy how the summers kind of just go by a little bit faster nowadays. But what you can listen to now on the podcast, you can listen to our Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 spoiler-free review, as well as an amazing conversation that I had with a few of our friends on the effect or the streaming's effect on Hollywood. And now I think it is more relevant now more than ever with all these strikes that are going on between the WGA and the SAG. So definitely pay your people because they really make the world go round in a sense. And I don't want to live in a world or even experience it for a small amount of time where Hollywood's too petty or too stubborn to give up a little bit of that sweet green. I think we should spread the love there a little bit there. So also, you can listen to our Secret Invasions episode 1 and 2 review that we have up on the podcast. Devin, did you watch episode 4?
I did yesterday, actually.
I was flying. I was shortest episode ever, but I was like, this is so good. I absolutely love it. I know people don't like it, but I digress. Those are a few releases that you can listen to now and a few releases you can look forward to here on the show. And again, thank you for listening. If you enjoy the show, please take a moment to leave us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And stay connected with us by following us on Twitter, Instagram, and Threads for the latest updates. There's too many social media accounts out there, Devin. Might have to trim it down a little bit. It just depends. But my name is Christian, and that was Devin signing off. And remember, life is like a movie. So go out there and make it a blockbuster.
Peace.